Today's very brief reading is from the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 4. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted.
Took her more time to walk up here. Well, that's how it's going to be for the next few weeks. So if you are nervous to read in front of people, but you still want to try it, now's the series to do it. We are continuing today a new series that we started last week based on those words of blessing from Jesus in his Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 5, those 8 blessings that we know as the Beatitudes. And they give us those promises of good things to come to the faithful in the hereafter, in the future, while we suffer through things now, down here in this life, in this world. The Lord promises that there are blessings plenty that are for those who make it through and maintain their faith and exhibit these virtues that we will be looking at and endure these sufferings that he talks about here. They are supreme blessings for those who do not give up hope and continue to trust in the Lord. And so we start this new year together with the anticipation of what might happen in this year, but also I want to start this year with you together anticipating those blessings from the Lord that are yet to come. Because we all know, probably all too well, that things don't always go as we want or even need sometimes. Such is life in this broken world. There are sorrows awaiting us for sure in this new year. Why would this new year be any different unless Jesus comes to take us all home? So there will be some things that we will be sad about, I guess, in this new year, amidst all the joys as well. So that's kind of what we're turning to today in some ways in Matthew chapter 5, verse 4. I think this speaks to those with broken hearts today. And so, since it's so short, we'll just read it again very briefly. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Now, you've probably heard people say somewhere along the line, nobody gets out of this world alive, right? And people say that, I suppose, in a sense, they're saying, live life to the fullest because we're all going to die sooner or later, or something to that effect. And maybe it serves as a reminder that death is part of life, and it is, in fact, part of life. We all know this. But also what's part of life is what kind of goes along with that. What reminds us of it is how we also go through sensing deep loss in our life. Sometimes that has to do with the loss of a loved one, or maybe it's a situation. I'm assuming that there is no one in this room that has not felt the sting of losing a loved one. And so when we have heard of mourning, I think so many times we tend to link that in with something that has died. And there's probably no one in here that hasn't suffered the loss of a relationship. I know this all too well. I was drugged through a couple of divorces growing up. And even now I have relationships with loved ones that are not what they ought to be. And I presume you probably have some of that going on in your world too. Sometimes relationships with loved ones don't work out so well. And also I'm thinking of it in a faith sense. If you've ever mourned your failings at living your life of faith, if you've ever mourned the state of your relationship with God, that takes some digging around deep inside, but if you've ever been there before, you may have mourned in that way too. Maybe you've mourned having had a dream die. If you've ever had something that you hoped and prayed for would happen in your life, maybe in a career sense or moving somewhere or something like that, and that doesn't happen. Maybe you've mourned what could have been, So what does it mean to mourn? Like, what is mourning? What does it mean to mourn? So many times we tend to equate that with grief. And we grieve when we feel deep inside ourselves a deep sense of loss of something. Something that is now gone, or something that should have been, something to that effect. But to mourn, you see, is to take that further than just grieving. To mourn means you're taking what you are sensing inwardly when you're grieving, and you're expressing it outwardly. We let it out, in other words. We present that. How many of you are bottlers? You bottle up your emotions and things that you're going through? Some of you are raising your hands. Some of you are so bottled you won't admit it. I don't know. I'm not presuming anything. But I know people that I love very much that are bottlers. And I tend to bottle some things up too, you know. That works, as I'm sure you found out. That works for a little while. But eventually, the pop blows off. And you have to express that. And so we do that, don't we? We offer opportunities to mourn. We do that when we attend memorial services or funerals or things of that nature. We gather together in our common loss sometimes to express ourselves and to mourn together. It's sad, but it's necessary because we all know all too well that life has these times of great loss. And there are other ways to mourn as well. And we need to do that sometimes. So to recount what we've covered so far, we know life has times of great loss. And for those who grieve, we feel it on the inside, it hurts. And then we experience those great losses. We're led then to mourn, to express it outwardly. We don't dispute that loss is a very real thing. Grieving those losses is for sure. Mourning is what we need to do it to express our sense of loss. But the next thing I want to mention, those are all givens, but this next thing I'm not sure is a given. It doesn't necessarily always follow those other things, and that is being comforted. After we have a great loss of some sort, we're in mourning about something that isn't as it should be. We grieve and it hurts. We're led to mourn over our loss, but then I'm not always sure that we're always led into a state of comfort after that. There's another saying I'm sure you've heard of, time heals all wounds. But I want to ask you, does that really always happen? I don't know that it ever happens. I don't think time heals anything. I think in my life, and maybe yours too, I've mistaken time healing my wounds for really what was nothing more than things just got easier to handle over time. We got used to it. Because the loss is still there, right? Someone we love is gone, or some situation is gone, or something isn't the way it ought to be, or we aren't the way that we ought to be, and nothing seems to be able to change that. And I'm sorry, but no amount of time going by can change the fact that we've lost something that meant a great deal to us, right? Whether it's the day after or 30 years later, we've still loved and we've lost. What has happened is we have continued to live as we've learned to mourn. I think what has happened. We've gone about the business of living day to day. Eventually we were able to function again after we experienced great loss, after we mourned and we let that out a little bit. We picked up the pieces. We got back on our feet. We continued to walk through life again. But one thing is for sure, time did not heal any wounds. The feelings are just less raw maybe, but the loss is still there. We figured out a way to deal with it and carry on in time. So that is why the passage today seems so incredibly wonderful to me, because it's not saying that time heals any wounds, it's saying that God heals wounds, right? Time doesn't bring us comfort. God comfort. And so when we read that Mark 5 or Matthew 5 verse 4, blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted, that means something to me today. And I hope it does to you as well. If you think back to the time when you lost someone or something that you grieved and you mourned about, hopefully, you had some people come around you that helped you through that, that tried to bring you some comfort in that, you know? And they hugged you and they cried with you and they brought you food and they spoke words of comfort and encouragement to you, and maybe they helped you do some things that you found very difficult to do as you mourned, right? And hopefully you experienced some level of comfort, yes. But I'm going to guess that as wonderful as their outpouring of love and care was in those moments that you needed them, it was good and surely it helped, but it wasn't enough. It didn't correct the situation, right? It wasn't enough, and it never was going to be. And I think some of that is because those people, nobody knows what it's like to be you and live as you. So none of us, as much as we like to say, I know exactly what you're going through, the fact is we don't know exactly what someone is going through. Right? And plus, the people that are comforting us in our mourning, times of mourning, they mourn their own things too, so they're just as broken and messed up as we are, so they're not ever going to be able to comfort us completely. They're doing the best that they can, and it's important, and I think God uses that too. But they're incapable of comforting you completely in that which you mourn. But I want you to know this today. Whatever loss you are carrying with you in here today, every sense of pain that you still feel over that loved one that is no longer with you, or those blessings that you once had that have gone now, or that relationship that has evaporated, or your own sense of failings, or whatever it is in you, that sense of loss that you carried in here with you today, that is always with you, and is always going to be a part of you because there's a part of you missing, and always will be. I want you to know this today. You will be comforted. You will be comforted. And I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what that looks like. You know? I don't know how Jesus is going to pull that off because I've never really felt truly, completely comforted before in some things that I've endured in my life, you know? You're probably the same way. But he tells us today that we will be comforted. Wish I knew what it looked like. Wish I knew what it felt like. Wish I knew when it was going to happen. All I want you to know is this as well, is that our God can do anything. And our God who can do anything says in His own words that we will be comforted. It's probably going to be later on. That's all these Beatitudes are for later on, right? I know one place it'll happen, that's heaven's side, because there's more words from Him that tell us of a place where there will be no more tears and there will be no more pain. I don't know how He's going to pull it off. But I know what Jesus says. Jesus says, we will be comforted. And when Jesus comforts us, it will be in full effect. Because there is no disconnect. Because He completely understands what it is that we mourn, what it is that we've lost. He knows completely the pain that we endure. And He doesn't comfort us in the sense that we try to for each other down here as best we can. His comfort is the best that there is. He knows it deeply, our loss. He knows intimately our broken condition. And He will comfort us. Our God will comfort us. This He will do. He says that He will, and I have my hope in that promise. I want you to have the same thing. You know, He was called the man of sorrows. He gets it. So He knows how to comfort us in what it is that we mourn. I think He can do it now, and He has. But someday, some sweet day, that level of comfort will be ramped up, and His comfort will be brought to completion. So I implore you today to hang in there. Do what you can for now. Express your loss, mourn, and pick up the pieces and keep walking towards Him who offers you this comfort. Keep the pain at bay as best you can, but remember to keep that hope that you have close to you. That your Redeemer sees you, that He knows you, that He knows your hurt, and He has promised that He will comfort you. Go forth in that knowledge and give praise to Him for it. Praise be to God. Praise be to God. Let us pray. Most Holy Lord, we thank You for Your word today. We who have lost and have the pain to show for it. We are mourners who so badly need to be comforted by You. And Your wonderful promise to us today is that You will do just that. Thank You for that, Lord. Thank You for getting us. Thank You for loving us. Give us, Lord, the patience and the resilience to carry on in life even as we've lost so much. Until that time when You comfort us in completion, in Your presence, in a place where there is no tears and there is no pain. And it's in Your precious name of Jesus that we pray. Amen.